And in 1850 through 1937, hemp was a cash crop. In fact, the colonists were required to grow some hemp, as I understand it. And in 1909, Bayer aspirin's biggest competitor was actually hemp. So that's kind of a fun fact. I don't think they were too happy about that previous to that happening. So, unfortunately, with the Marijuana Act of 1937, that ended the role of cannabis as a medicine in the United States. And we had the United Nations Single Convention Treaty of 1961 and 71 banning cannabis, including hemp. And that became prohibited, and it was withdrawn as an accepted medicine. Interesting, if you look at those dates, 1961, I suspect that the reefer madness kind of movement had something to do with the demise of cannabis. But a gentleman by the name of Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, he's considered to be the grandfather of modern cannabis medicine. So he received a patent on cannabidiol, and that is what CBD stands for, cannabidiol isolation, in 1942. In 1964, he discovered and isolated THC, of course, this being the psychoactive element in marijuana, and he further determined its chemical composition. So I think he's been. I saw some videos of him. I think it's been really exciting for him and his posterity to kind of see this mainstream acceptance of cannabis and hemp. So really, confusion unfortunately still abounds with cannabis. And I'll confess, probably a year and a half ago, if somebody had said something about, hey, do you want to try this cannabis drink, I would have thought they were talking about marijuana. People just kind of use cannabis and marijuana a little bit interchangeably, and hemp. And so it gets a little bit confusing. When you look at it in terms of hemp is considered the parent plant, or excuse me, cannabis is considered the parent plant, and hemp being one of the offspring, and is non-psychoactive, whereas marijuana, on the other hand, is quite psychoactive. So as far as the second here, understanding the difference between hemp and marijuana further, hemp is rather tall and lengthy. It can grow very, very tall, up to 20 feet high. It has high concentrations of CBD. It has been used around the world for fiber and in textiles, and is referred to as cannabis sativa. Marijuana, on the other hand, is short, bushy, about waist high, high concentrations of THC for a psychoactive effect. No real industrial application, and that would be cannabis indica. Furthermore, hemp has been used. Hemp products are legal in the United States. Hemp food products, that is. You see these in health food stores. You can, hemp seeds, hemp oil, hemp protein powder. I actually have tried a hemp protein powder years ago. Sidebar. But marijuana remains illegal at the federal level. 30 U.S. states legalize it for medical purposes. 17 states approve CBD forms of marijuana for epilepsy in children. And 9 states, including D.C., have legalized it for recreational use. So CBD awareness begins in full in about 2011. So proof of concept products happen in the fall of 2011, and some of the first products in the U.S. and world markets hit in 2012. The World Health Organization sought to remove cannabis from the United Nations Single Convention Treaty on Narcotics, and the WHO had further hearings in Geneva, Switzerland, to show that CBD is safe and would not be scheduled as a drug. Thus, the World Health Organization approved CBD. Of course, CBD nutraceuticals hit the market around mid-2012. European hemp crops were grown in 2007 through 2011, and each year they were gradually able to find higher concentrations of CBD based on agricultural methods and some of the, I like to say gardening, and I'll touch on that in a little bit, that they were doing to get that benefit. And then they found in 2011 enough CBD in products to possibly actually have a benefit. So the crops were harvested and the oils were extracted as kind of like a raw paste. It's kind of like a crude, really, after it's been refined a little bit. And some of these were exported to the United States with final formulations made and marketed around 2012. So, of course, while some of that was happening, we had the Farm Bill kind of come up, and there was a lot of speculation as to what was going to happen with the Farm Bill. But Congress, December 20th of 2018, they removed hemp and its derivatives, including CBD, from the Controlled Substances Act, meaning that it was no longer a violation to possess hemp products, or CBD derived from hemp. Again, that's at the federal level, and we'll talk about here in just a second what happens at the state level. But I like to say we're on the cusps of a wild new old cash crop. And it's very exciting for farmers and what this will mean for them. But yeah, from the federal perspective, CBD is legal in all 50 states. However, individual states will end up determining how they want to regulate it. You know, here in Utah, there's certain things that you have to do, which we, of course, fell into alignment with. And we're excited to do so because part of that is a bit of transparency in the products. And we, of course, embrace that as one of the original companies to tout transparency and safety in our products. But in Idaho, Nebraska, Kansas, and South Dakota, it is still prohibited, CBD products, that is. But I would say that regulations around the country are changing almost daily with CBD and what's going on. It really is something we have to check on daily to see what's going on. So what are cannabinoids? Cannabinoids are special compounds found in the cannabis plant family. There's well over 100 known cannabinoids, and CBD is just one of them. A lot of the research has been done on CBD, but as we'll discuss here in a minute, there's CBN and THCA and lots of other things, and that's really where the research is kind of headed, is what else is in, what other cannabinoids are there. So, but there's also 400 other chemical compounds in cannabis that are common to all plants, like chlorophyll and terpenoids, flavonoids, and plant waxes. Cannabinoids and cannabinoid-like compounds are found in a handful of other plants, such as echinacea, flax, common teas, kava, and hops. I'm not too surprised on the kava side of things, as I've seen that used, even used in ceremony, frankly, as kind of a calming plant when it's consumed. So here you kind of see the cannabinoid extract from hemp, how it breaks down a little bit. I touched on this slightly. With, again, THC, CBD, and CBN, for example, is some of the cannabinoids that are found in hemp extract. So what is the endocannabinoid system? Some of you may have heard of this already. And this kind of blew me away as I got into the research a little bit to realize that, man, I had no idea there was a whole system in my body that scientists discovered in the 90s that is basically set up to receive cannabinoids. And it's the largest self-regulating system within our bodies. And it includes cell receptor sites, CB1 and CB2, found in the skin, the gastrointestinal tract, the reproductive system, the immune system, and the central and peripheral nervous systems. And so that's why when people take CBD, which I'll show here in a little bit, it has different effects, right? It has they get different results. It's not just, well, it helps my digestive system, because you may take it for one thing, but it's of course going to benefit these other aspects of your system by virtue of the endocannabinoid system. So the endocannabinoid system uses cannabinoids to transmit certain signals to regulate homeostasis within us. It helps balance our mood, our appetite, our sleep cycles, and our hormone production. So I love this idea of homeostasis because if we talk about it in terms of balance and homeostasis, then we don't need to make outrageous claims. We just say, hey, listen, when the body is functioning optimally, when we are in homeostasis, or rather when we're not in homeostasis and we're stressed, well, maybe your immune system takes a hit, right? I mean, people who are perpetually stressed or are not sleeping well, a lot of times they can get sick because their immune system's compromised trying to divert energy to handle that crisis. Well, if you're in homeostasis, the body is a pretty amazing thing and can really do some incredible things when it is functioning optimally. So, plant-based cannabinoids or phytocannabinoids have analogs in the human body, meaning that our bodies actually produce these cannabinoids, which in this case would be called endocannabinoids. So, like I said before, you could say our bodies were designed to interact with cannabinoids. So here you can kind of see some different areas wherein the endocannabinoid system touches on. Obviously the brain, which we'll show here in a minute, there's a lot of these receptors in the brain. The lungs, the liver, the colon, your muscles, your immune system, bones, reproductive organs. I mean, it really is quite amazing. And whether it's, CB1 receptors or CB2, you can kind of see, and we'll make this graph available to you. So really, the CB1 neurotransmitter receptor sites in the brain has more receptor sites than all of the other neurotransmitter sites combined, which is just mind-blowing. So again, I can't emphasize enough, our bodies were made for this stuff. So here you kind of see in the brain for CB1 the different areas that CBD can impact. And so you can kind of see based on like the amygdala, for example, anxiety and stress and fear and pain, that sort of thing. So again, from a stress perspective, it's no wonder that it has that benefit to the brain, that it has that kind of calming effect. And so you can kind of see these other aspects. And again, I want to be really careful about claims and just sort of say, well, listen, here are the systems that this could touch on. So as far as endogenous cannabinoids, the body, like I said, produces these, but they are quickly degraded by normal human enzymatic activity. Plant-based cannabinoids, like Sisel Safe CBD, they're not so quickly degraded. They stay in your system a little bit longer. So isn't that great news? And like I said, homeostasis is easier for the body to maintain by supplementing cannabinoids. So cannabidiol, CBD, is one of many cannabinoids that can activate receptors known to moderate inflammation, pain perception, and body temperature, in addition to some of the other areas where we talked about previously. Can also increase the amount of anandamide, or the bliss molecule, which plays a part in the neurogeneration of motivation and pleasure. Right? It's a feel-good. It's a feel-good supplement. The runner's high is a phenomenon created by the production and the release of anandamide, as well as endorphins. Being a runner myself, you love the runner's high. I mean, I would say that is addictive, and that's the kind of high that we like. So both are feel-good neurotransmitters. But only anandamide crosses the blood-brain barrier and thus is responsible for this runner's high effect. I was reading more about this, and I'll talk about a symposium that I went to in October on CBD, where at that time is when they talked about human breast milk containing significant quantities of cannabinoids, which makes sense for sleep, for nutrients, and mood for babies. And I was reading another article on that today, just talking about the benefits of these cannabinoids. So pretty incredible. You consider that's maybe nature's first supplement is breast milk, right? That's what we all, hopefully what we all, got to have when we were born, right? So consumer reports CBD usage, and granted, some of this information is maybe even a little bit dated, and is likely these figures would be significantly inflated over this, but it found that out of over 1,000 adults, 13% of American adults, 130 individuals, said they had used CBD to treat some kind of health issue. Of those, nearly 90% said that they saw benefit. Plenty of delivery systems. If you go out there, and you'll see topical creams and serums and oils. You've got pills, sprays, inhalation, things that you can inhale. Of course, tinctures. Now, unfortunately, 90 to 95% of the bioavailability of oral products are lost due to digestion, having to pass through the liver. So you really don't. If it has to pass through the liver, you're not getting the same benefit as you would if you take it under the tongue, right? Under the tongue, lots of blood vessels, and the research kind of shows that. Outside of maybe vaping, which we don't necessarily endorse, under the tongue is one of the best ways to take it. So it was super exciting for me as a marketer to be able to brand this product and to work on the look and feel. Of course, you'll notice it departs a little bit from the other products. That was entirely by design. We wanted it to look more apothecary and go back to the roots of hemp use in the United States. Natural, pure, it's kind of like the science of Sisel meets the centuries of traditional use, and that's kind of reflected with our little Sisel science leaf there that you typically see, and we kind of added that. We thought that was kind of a cool element, and you kind of see this parchment look with our label. And even the text, very much by design to look and feel like that apothecary look. Also want to just mention too, when we launch a product like this, we have a tendency to want to abbreviate the name. But when you're just referring to it as Sisel Safe CBD, you're missing out on being able to call it full spectrum hemp extract, because people are getting smarter about, well, where is it coming from? Is it full spectrum? Is it broad spectrum? Is it isolate? Is it from hemp seed oil? And I'll talk about that here in a second. But as you can see, we've got our label here. We'll talk a little bit about that great QR code and why we use some of the other ingredients. There's not really a whole lot in here outside of the MCT oil and some flavoring, natural flavoring. So why is ours so good? Why should people choose our product? Well, really, as I mentioned just a second ago, it's all about where it is sourced from. And ours is a premium product made with that full spectrum hemp extract from the flower, leaf, the stalk, and not hemp oil from the seed. Hemp oil from the seed is about 25 parts per million of CBD, whereas hemp extract has 150,000 parts per million of CBD. And so you get no benefit, virtually no therapeutic benefit from hemp seed oil. It's basically salad dressing. And cheap mislabeled products often say CBD from hemp seed oil. So it's very important for people to realize, okay, where is it coming from? Again, we love this turn the bottle. The fact that we have this QR code on our product, which allows people to scan and pull up our certificate of analysis, which will show you exactly how much CBD we have. It'll also show you the fact that we don't have any harmful elements in there, any pesticides, any herbicides, any other alcohol byproducts, or any of these other things. So we embrace that wholeheartedly, and we're very excited about that. And I know that at the event, Tom Jr. showed a clip from Dr. Oz. I think about a month ago, he did this kind of expose where he worked with a news crew in Los Angeles. They went out and got a bunch of different CBD products, or products that were labeled CBD, and they went back and they actually tested them. So if a product said it had 25 milligrams, they actually tested that. If the product said, it had 0.3% THC, they tested for all of these things. And they found that, 75 to 80% of the products that they tested were either mislabeled or had dangerous levels of chemicals, or in one case, I think they had a product that was labeled as 0.3% THC where it actually had 3% THC, and that in most cases, the amount that they claimed was not what the product actually contained, if it contained any CBD at all. So again, no QR code, no transparency. The brand is just simply not willing to be transparent, and there's a reason for that. So I love this. As a marketer, this would be my 1-2 punch. I would lead with this 100%, and I know that some of you are, and so very cool to see that. So again, where does the hemp come from, and how is it produced, right? How is the product produced, but also how is the hemp produced? Is it from the USA, where ours is, where regulations are in place for farmers, or does it come from another country where laws are more lax? There's a lot of hemp coming in, or hemp oil, even from different countries where they don't have those same standards. And again, this is somewhat old data. As of October 2018, $78 million of hemp was being imported from overseas. I guarantee that number has gone up significantly. Is the hemp grower ensuring a sustainable and renewable crop? That's very important to us here at Sisel, and ours is in fact doing those things. Is it grown organically without the use of pesticides, herbicides, or harmful chemical fertilizers? Well, what kind of Sisel safe company would we be if we use those things? And of course, we don't. Many companies are buying from a broker. I actually was talking to our grower just a couple hours ago in preparation for this call, and he just reminded me, wanted me to remind you that, a lot of people are getting their products from a broker. They don't have that relationship with the farmers. They don't really know where it comes from. Again, they're just trying to cash in on the CBD fad. We know it's not a fad, which is why we're doing it right. We're trying to build a lasting foundation. And we want this to be around for a long time. So we're trying to do it right. And we know that we've got good controls in growing our product. We can trace our hemp back to the very field and the harvester that produced our product. We have that relationship with the farmers, which is very, very cool. So I love that aspect. So, the other thing I would say too is as I talk to our growers and our farmers, they describe it as gardening. It's not like just driving a combine and applying. I don't know how to explain it. I guess I married a farmer's daughter, so I have a little bit of experience with this. And my dad sold chemical fertilizers, and so it's as you look at these fields, you see scores of people looking after each plant. I mean, it's that precious, so to speak. It's not where they just run. I don't know. I guess I'm at a loss for words, but it really is more like gardening than industrial farming. And of course, is the product manufactured in a GMP certified and FDA registered facility under the strict quality controls that we use for the rest of our products. And what about absorption, right? As we talked about before, we chose to go out with a tincture product that was to be taken under the tongue because that's the best way to get it into your system. If you go through that liver, you're getting maybe 5 to 7% of what you might have gotten if you'd gone sublingual. So we use our carrier oils or medium chain triglycerides, MCT, coconut and palm kernel oil, because these oils are easier for the body to absorb. So of course, better absorption, better results. So the claims that we have with Sisel Safe CBD is that it calms the mind from daily stressors, helping to optimize the body. Now, again, I love this positioning because I know for me, I say former Ironman athlete, but I'm getting back into that Ironman conditioning as I intend to do some races this summer. if you're not focused, even just to go in the gym, if you're stressed, you're distracted, you don't have as good of a workout, right? And it's kind of like what I was saying before about homeostasis. If your body is in homeostasis, then it's not diverting resources from other critical systems in order to cope with, say, stress. And if you run too long in that mode of not being in homeostasis, then your performance and even your health can suffer. So, we and some of you have already obviously had a chance to try this product. It's described a little bit as like a warm bath. It has kind of a soothing effect from stress, which is awesome. That's what I love about it, and allows your body to function more optimally and your mind to actually focus. So as far as a healthy response to exercise activity, so again, I talked about that a little bit in the previous slide, but it can help you recover faster from workouts and other physical activities by promoting a healthy, more balanced response. It acts as a neuroprotective against oxidative stress. So it may help the stress on the brain and the nervous system, may support the growth and development of new neurons. No surprise when you see how plugged in the endocannabinoid system is in terms of the brain. In fact, the antioxidant and neuroprotective element of this was found in this patent for the federal government. That the claims are cannabinoids are potential antioxidants because they penetrate tissues, giving them the ability to enter the central nervous system in the brain. And non-psychoactive cannabinoids like CBD, they are non-toxic and exhibit unique antioxidant properties without the undesirable psychoactive effects of THC. And the antioxidant strength of CBD is significantly greater than that of either vitamin C or vitamin E. So pretty amazing. And then this is another reason I take the product is because, the digestive process. And, I'd maybe even had some stomach issues, maybe too much maple syrup growing up in Canada, too many beaver tails. But, it may help a healthy digestive system by supplementing the endocannabinoid system. So this will help in gastrointestinal function, hunger signaling, motility, gut permeability, supporting the stomach lining, all this good stuff. So very exciting on that. We decided to go out with a 1,500 milligram amount because we wanted people to have that benefit, and that's a great amount. I know already some of the stories that I've heard coming in that people are experiencing tremendous benefit from this. And I can't emphasize that full spectrum element enough. It's so important that it is full spectrum because there's all those other cannabinoids in there and all the terpenes, the vitamins, the fatty acids. Some companies, I'll talk about this in a second, but, they have an isolated form of CBD, which they get rid of all these things. And they're just left with a kind of like a white powder that is pure CBD. And that has certainly some benefit to it, but you're losing all the good stuff. I liken it to, well, do you want Tang or do you want fresh squeezed orange juice? Maybe that's a bad comparison, but it makes sense to me. So it's natural, it's non-GMO, organically grown, no pesticides, herbicides by American farmers. It does have under the 0.3% less THC, and that's kind of the legal requirement. So we're below that, and it's tested by multiple labs to ensure safety and potency, as you can see by our certificates of analysis. I already talked about ours is made in the USA, the GMP certified and FDA registered facility, not an FDA certified facility, but a FDA registered. And again, I've tried well over 10 different tincture products, and I can tell you that ours is hands down the best tasting CBD. I actually had other people in my circle try it, and they just rave about how good it tastes. So that's something to consider. We talk about the directions, right? So we talk about start with a full dropper and assess how you feel. To get that 50 mg per day, that would be 2 full droppers. So you want to avoid contacting the dropper tip with anything. and hold it in your mouth for a while so that it has that chance to absorb. So it is a 60 ml bottle, by the way. I think there's a little bit of confusion on that. So this was an article that Rolling Stone did last year about the projections for the CBD market. It's projected to hit $22 billion by 2022. 70% of the people in the U.S. have never tried it, so the market is ripe. Our product is premium, tested, transparent, and works, and that means repeat customers. So I wanted to talk about this symposium that I went to in October of last year. It was put on by a company called Success Partners and the Direct Selling News. So, it was the first ever symposium for the direct selling industry. So I was a part of that. It's kind of history in the making. It was a small group of forward-thinking executives from other MLM companies looking to get in front of the CBD wave, right? Looking to capitalize, looking to do it right, get educated about this before going off and developing their CBD products. So it was a good opportunity to get insights on every aspect of CBD, the science, the market, the different opportunities, what it means for direct selling, including the legal side of things, the regulatory side, product development and manufacturing. And interesting, before they said anything about it, I did notice that they had these rather tough-looking individuals. I asked this guy, hey, where's the bathroom? And he looked like he could take my head off. And they told us after the fact that they actually had private security at the event, which I thought was kind of interesting. But they did give us, I guess, a pretty expensive bag of different CBD products to try. So maybe it was for that purpose. I don't know. These are my notes from the event. I just wanted to take a picture of that. It was, it was really just a one-day thing, and so there was so much information. It was like drinking from a fire hose, but really good stuff. So CBD and direct selling, they said at this symposium, this is the first time in our industry where customers in the mainstream have actually shown up before we were ready with products to deliver them. The conversation was already happening, last year. Of course, it's happening now, even more so. So I like to think the table is set. And now as Sisel distributors, you have the main course, that Sisel Safe CBD Full Spectrum Hemp Extract. They also said that no one has seen anything like it before. This is the next aloe vera. It's going to be in everything. And you're starting to see that now. A little bit of caution on that. It's going to be in everything. I sent something to Tom Jr. the other day. I saw something on Facebook about a CBD barbecue sauce. Wow. Let me just tell you, you're getting absolutely no benefit from that whatsoever. That's a company that is purely just trying to play off the name CBD, and you see that a lot. So it's important that we lead the charge. There's lots of bad actors out there, plenty of companies that are just trying to make a buck, and they're not following the rules. We see that even here in Utah with companies selling CBD products that don't have a QR code. We know for a fact, and I've developed a bit of a relationship with the the Department of Agriculture here in Utah. The individuals Tom Jr. mentioned going up a while back and meeting with them and having discussions, and it's really unfortunate, but we have that opportunity to go out and show them how to do it right. So this statistic was from last October. 30 companies in the direct selling space were projected to have CBD products in 2018. Now I could tell you that number is just gone up exponentially. Again, I've been in this industry for about 22 years. I know a ton of people. Utah's a super hotbed for network marketing. I don't have to tell you guys that. And everybody is looking at CBD. In fact, I bumped into a vice president of product development for another company, and he said, man, you guys are already out. You guys already have a product out. And he was just kind of floored because they were just getting started. So we are definitely ahead of the game on this. And then they said 80% of direct selling companies will have a CBD product in the next 2 years. Actually, I would say 1.5 years. So we're ahead of the game. Let's take advantage. So CBD, a little bit more on CBD and direct selling. They said, the CBD phenomenon is really interesting because it's so far been exclusively word of mouth, right? I mean, you didn't see CBD products advertised on television last year, and you might start to see that in radio a little bit moving forward. But it's largely been a word of mouth kind of thing. And so this Brightfield group did a study and found that 50% of consumers in the U.S. learned about it through friends and family. And then the Cannabis and Cannabidiol Research Journal found that same thing. You know, people are hearing it from friends, family, the internet, and not from their physicians. You know, I had a previous slide I decided to take out, but they don't, you know, maybe they do now, but as of last year, they weren't, you know, they don't really talk about the endocannabinoid system in medical school. You know, for doctors to really learn about it, they've got to do continuing education, or, you know, they've got to educate themselves in the same way that the average consumer is. I suspect that will change in the near future as far as how it's talked about in medical school. But we also know the medical establishment has always, you know, been a little skeptical when it comes to supplements. So CBD usage, again, this is in the context of that symposium I went to. Each person kind of has their own reasons for wanting to take CBD oil. You know, genetics, their tolerance to it, and their general health will come into a play as far as how well it works for them. And what they were saying at the symposium is that 25 to 50 milligram per day, again, serving size, administered orally under the tongue is the best way because of the blood vessels found there. And like I've already said a couple of times, you know, you have to go through the liver. You don't get nearly as much as you would sublingually. And they also said that there's great benefit from taking CBD on a regular basis. So continuity plays a role. And that the effects are not always instant. You know, it can take time to work. A lot of people make the same mistake. They try it for a little bit and say, yeah, it didn't really help me. Or they're expecting it to help them, you know, immediately. And when it doesn't work, you know, they kind of give up. And actually talking to our grower tonight, he also said, you know, this is true. People, you know, they try an inferior, sometimes it's not just that they didn't give it enough time, but if they've tried an inferior product, it's a world of different when they get the good stuff, because, you know, he was just saying, you know, people don't know what they're missing. You know, they try a product that's from hemp seed oil. Well, of course, there's no CBD in that. So they say, well, it didn't really work for me. Well, I know already that, because I've talked to some of you who've told me, as you talk to people, they're saying the same thing. They're saying, yeah, I tried this before, and it didn't really do much, but when I tried yours, it's night and day. So again, no surprise, because we do have the good stuff. So from a marketing perspective, you know, they said the market is a little bit limited by ignorance, something called preception. I had a little bit of a typo there, where people have kind of like a preconceived notion, or they're just not, they don't have the information. They're uneducated about it. So again, it kind of goes back to, well, this is cannabis, so it's from marijuana. I don't want anything to do with that. Well, no, that's not the case. Banking rules can are still putting some limits on some folks. Getting merchants accounts, and then again, the varying state laws can make it a little bit of a confusing endeavor for the average consumer. From a demographic breakdown, they said, the demographics are 25 to 75, and that is pretty even split between male and female consumers. From a younger demographic perspective, they're not necessarily taking it as much for pain or for health challenges. It's more about the anxiety and stress. And as we know, because of the digital world that we live in, that younger folks have just so much more anxiety and stress than some of us, over 40s would have had. So they also said, ask the question, who takes CBD on social media? And you're likely to get a lot of response, or people in your circle, I guarantee you, are curious about it. They may not know a lot about it, so they'll rely on you to help educate them. And this is a nice thing I thought that I gleaned from this. It's time to start thinking about CBD as a vital, essential nutrient. And that kind of goes back to the whole endocannabinoid system and the fact that our bodies are set up to receive this, and the body knows what to do with it. So I love that concept. I'm getting close to the end here. I appreciate your patience here, but I just want to talk a little bit about, again, making claims. In as much as we've tried to do this the right way in bringing this product to market, it's really important because of the way, and here I've kind of included a list. This is just a screenshot of a rather lengthy document of companies that the FDA has sent warning letters to. So you have to be really, really careful. In some cases, they're hitting these folks because their labels are incorrect, or they've gotten samples and they've tested them and they said, well, you say you've got 25 milligrams when in fact you only have 10 or you only have 5. So there's the labeling element, that whole transparency thing that we were talking about. And then just some of the claims, like even on the Dr. Oz show, when they went into some of these shops, they had all these claims about Alzheimer's and, cures cancer and all these different things. And, again, that's going to get you into trouble. And that's not what we want to do. We want to focus on the approved claims. We want to focus on balance and homeostasis and what the body can do when it is functioning optimally. So, yeah, we got to be really, really careful. That's why we don't talk about diseases. We don't diagnose. We don't talk about curing or prevention. Tom Jr. touched on this last week. Please don't ask us to give our take on that. That's just not what we do. We'll provide you with the approved marketing collateral. And then just lastly, I wanted to share this with you. Probably next week, we'll definitely let you know. I'm working on this and have been for some time with SiselSalesTools.com. That's our partner company that has our swag. So these shirts are actually made from hemp, and they block UV rays. They get softer with continued washing. They wick away moisture, and they're antimicrobial. So not only is this a cool way to share the brand, it's a great way to, say, hey, listen, I've got it inside and I've got it outside, right? So isn't that awesome? And so we also have some business card templates that are going to be going up. We'll have some hats. We'll have some car magnets. We'll have some banners available for you to help tell that amazing story about Sisel Safe CBD. So that's pretty much all I have. I can't say enough good things about this product. I'm so excited about this. It's been so, we've been working on this for so long. It's so fun to finally have it drop and have you guys go out and be those brand ambassadors. And I got to tell you, I was told that this was one of our most successful product launches to date, just in terms of the execution and how we rolled it out. But just seeing like the preliminary sales, I'm just floored. This has been just so much fun to be a part of. So I want to thank you for all that you do for us here at Sisel. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be associated with you. I'm so excited about this product. I'm excited about our future as a company. We are doing some amazing things, and you guys are right there with us, and I love that partnership. It's why I wanted to get back in this industry, is to get in there and lock arms with distributors and folks who want to change lives and want to help people. And that's what it's all about. And I think this product in particular has the potential to help so many people. So thank you for all that you do. We'll keep putting out great information. Like I said, let me clean this up a little bit, and we'll make this available to you next week. And again, thank you very much, and we're going to go ahead and sign off. So good night, everybody.